What will happen when Loop confronts Quinn about sucking Faye's blood on the school rooftop? Is Vorden's attack on Layla a sign of a deeper issue? Will Peter's new secrets signal a rift in his friendships? Or is something more sinister at play?
Inside one of the dorm rooms, Peter was waiting inside patiently for either Vorden or Quinn to come back. Usually, he would have gone off with Vorden, but the way Vorden had acted earlier had given him second thoughts. The fact that Vorden said that Vorden wasn't his name. Peter wasn't exactly sure what he had meant by that. While Peter was busy worrying about the others, there was a sudden knock at the door. When he opened the door, though, Peter immediately tried closing it, but a hand had come out and held the door open. "Looks like he's not here," Momo said, looking around the room. Peter didn't have a good feeling about this. He remembered the last time they had met and how he had given Vorden a warning. "Well, since you're the only one here, why don't you come with us?" Momo said. "We have some plans, and we think you might be the perfect person to help us." Peter felt like he had no choice but to listen. Momo was a level 6 user. Back on the school rooftop, Loop had just arrived to see his friend being held by what looked like some humanoid creature. It was dark, so it was hard to see clearly, but as the creature held Faye in his arms and was biting into his neck, he could see glowing red eyes. An object started to grow out of Loop's body. It was a long, thin, white piece of bone that was the same size as a small sword. He pulled it out and threw it straight at Quinn. The flying sword bone flew straight at Quinn, but he knocked it away with his hand. Almost straight after, another piece of bone came at him, and behind it was Loop running right towards him. In both of Loop's hands, he held 2 white bone swords and swung them down at Quinn. However, Quinn managed to grab onto both of the bone swords, stopping them in place. When Quinn tried to use his strength to break the bones, surprisingly, nothing was happening. That was because of the difference in ability level. Loop was a level 3 ability user. The special substance he was able to create out of his body was stronger than that of a basic tier beast weapon. The bone spikes had managed to pierce Quinn's body in several different places, but luckily he was able to avoid a blow to the head, and his hands were protected by the gauntlets. 10 of 20 HP. Loop retracted the bone spikes into his body and was ready for the same attack again. As he breathed in, though, he could see Quinn swipe his hand like a claw. Loop ducked down, and instead of hitting him, the attack continued to go past, and the red lines eventually disappeared into nothing. "Let's see what you're hiding under that mask," Loop said as he stabbed one of the bone swords into Quinn's foot and then lifted another one at his face. Loop was a good fighter. Quinn's sloppy skills weren't going to save him. 5 of 20 HP, blood bank auto use. 10 of 20 HP, 90 millimeters left in blood bank. 20 of 20 HP, 70 millimeters left in blood bank. 14 of 20 HP. He had thrown a total of 6 blood swipes in rapid succession. 8 of 20 HP. After defending against the first 6 attacks, Loop thought he was done, but another 6 blood swipes came straight after, and his bone swords could no longer take it and eventually snapped. Opponent has been defeated. 50 EXP has been received. 130 of 400. Quinn hated to think about how he would have fought if he didn't have the skill. Quinn then looked back at Faye, who was on the ground. It seemed like after being bitten by him, his targets would stay asleep for some time, which was a good thing, but now it was time for him to feast on a new person. Quinn walked over to Loop's body and cast his Inspect skill. Loop Savvy, Ability Bone Manipulation, HP 1 of 25, Blood type O negative. Although Loop was bleeding and Quinn was able to just drink from the open wound, this would only give him the extra stat point. Quinn lifted Loop's body from the ground. Only a few inches were separating their faces. "I don't know whether it's a good thing or a bad thing that I'm finding it easier every time I do this." 20 of 20 HP restored. O blood type has been consumed. 1 free stat point has been added. Blood bank has been filled. Strength 13, 3. Stamina 12. Agility 13. Agility 14. In the end, Quinn decided to stick to his original plan and add his stat points into agility. Although Quinn wore his mask, there was still the chance of someone figuring out it was him. However, Quinn wasn't that afraid of them finding out his real identity. After all, the school didn't really care if Quinn beat them half to death. Actions like this were commonplace at the academy. And with no markings on their neck to prove it, they would be treated as madmen without any type of proof. While Quinn was in the middle of his thoughts, he was startled when he heard the door start to open again. Quinn moved instantly at a lightning speed to try and flee the scene, but quickly stopped when he saw it was someone familiar opening the door. "There you are," Layla said. She then looked down and noticed the two bodies on the floor. "Quick, we have to get out of here. The guards will be here any second now." "Oh no, we can't go this way." Layla then started to look around the roof. "I have a plan. Grab me and let's jump." "Are you crazy?" Quinn said. "Even with my strength from this height, I would at least break my legs, and even if I can heal, I still feel pain. Just trust me, come on, I can use my ability." Quinn quickly lifted Layla with both arms, despite his protest. "I'm counting on you," Quinn muttered as he leapt off the building. "Hey, that was pretty cool. You can fly?" Quinn asked, stunned. "No, my ability isn't that strong yet," Layla replied. "At most, I can only slow us down. Come on, let's head back to our rooms. A lot of the students have already formed their own groups and gangs to protect each other. Why don't you create your own group? That's not a bad idea, especially if in the future we get targeted even more. Maybe I should ask Vorden if he knows anyone." "That crazy guy? I told you he was bad news, Quinn." "What, did something happen?" "It's best if you hear it from your friend Peter. Maybe then you will realize how bad it was. After all, he saw the whole thing. How can the school just let these sorts of things happen? Surely there's a better way," Haley thought. As she went to check up on Faye, she noticed he was now sleeping calmly. However, when she looked at Loop, something had caught her eye that concerned her. In a certain spot on the boy's neck, there were two small puncture wounds similar to that of a snake bite. Haley then tapped her watch and waited a few moments for it to connect. "Hey, General, I believe there might be a stray beast roaming around the school." "What? That's impossible. We have seen no signs indicating the presence of one," the voice on the watch replied. "But there have been some strange signs on two students. I'm a little bit worried," Haley said. "Please, for me, would just investigate it?" Fine, whatever you want. How can I say no to my daughter?" Two military men came rushing in with another student on their back, soaked in blood. "Hurry, the student is in critical condition," the guard shouted. They quickly placed the student on the bed, and Haley quickly got to work. She tried and tried to use her abilities, but it was useless. The student was already too far gone. He had died. Haley then tapped her wristwatch once again to open up a digital report log. Report, confirming the time of death 9:30 p.m., a first-year student named Brandon Richardson. When Quinn had arrived back in his dorm room, he was surprised to see that neither Vorden or Peter seemed to be there. "It's nearly curfew time. I wonder what they're doing out so late." A few moments later, and Peter was the first to arrive back in the dorm room. He slowly entered the room and didn't even acknowledge the fact that Quinn had returned. He walked slowly over to his bed and placed the quilt over his head, slightly shaking. Then, soon after, Vorden had arrived. He could see a bulge wrapped underneath the sheets on Peter's bed. Then Vorden noticed that Quinn was sleeping. As Vorden looked at Quinn's peaceful face, he smiled. "Looks like you were fine," Vorden whispered to himself. "I'm sorry." Each one of them was dealing with their own problems, yet not one of them knew of the others. As Quinn woke up, he was greeted with his usual morning message. "Daily quest complete. Avoid direct sunlight for 8 hours. 135 of 400 EXP. "Hey, did you get a good sleep?" Vorden asked. "When I came in yesterday, you were completely knocked out." "Yeah, I was pretty worn out yesterday after combat classes." "I heard you got in an accident. Is everything okay?" Vorden asked. "As you can see, I've made a complete recovery. You don't need to worry about me." "Hey, seriously though, Quinn, if you're getting bullied or hurt, just tell me." "Is everything okay, Peter?" Quinn asked. "Huh? Yeah, I'm fine," Peter replied as he got dressed into a new uniform, a little bit spaced out. The three of them then started to head to the canteen, and as they were walking through the hallways, Quinn had spotted someone who he didn't want to see first thing in the morning. It was Loop. When the two walked by each other, Loop stopped and called out to Quinn. "Hey, is it okay to talk to you in private?" Loop asked. Quinn had put this into his calculations that they might group up to attack him, but he didn't think something would happen so soon. However, when he looked around, there was no sight of Brandon or even Faye nearby. "Hey, is everything okay?" Vorden said in a stern voice, not breaking eye contact with Loop. "Yeah, it's fine, Vorden. You two go ahead. I'll catch up with you in a bit." "I'm sorry about yesterday," Loop said as he bowed. "I promise I won't tell anyone about your secret. Please, whatever you do, just let me live. Thanks for keeping my secret. Besides, I don't really have a grudge against you. Although your friends were the one to act on me, you didn't do anything. You were just trying to help your friends," Quinn said. Thank you for sparing me," Loop said. "I promise if you need anything, I will help you. I just don't want what happened to Brandon happening to me." "Brandon?" Quinn said, confused. "What happened to Brandon?"
Who is behind Brandon's mysterious fate? Will they manipulate the situation to frame Quinn for the crime? Find out in the next episode.
Subscribe to the Pocket FM Fantasy YouTube channel and press the bell icon for instant notifications. Check out our channel for more exciting shows.